Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking some time out of your pleasant Saturday morning to be with us for this presentation. My name is Dan Tufford, and I've had the privilege of working with the dedicated team whose results we are presenting this morning. The plan is for us to run through the slides and take questions at the end. So please keep your microphone muted, and if you have a question, put it in the chat preceded by Q. We will address them at the end as time allows. We are recording this Zoom. The slides you will see this morning and the video recording will be posted on the OI Elections website. Before we start, let's take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral lands of the Nisqually and Squaxin Island tribes, who kept this land and its waters healthy and bountiful for more than 10,000 years and who still live here. We heed the call to listen, to right past wrongs, to preserve this land for future generations to come, and to build together a community where everyone feels welcome. I would like to acknowledge the hard work and assistance from many dedicated OI members. Several of these team members wear more than one OI hat, and others will be putting on another OI hat at the conclusion of the endorsement work. Thanks to you all. Just a few quick words about the endorsement process. We started in February and, with two exceptions, met weekly on Zoom, leading to now our presentation. In addition, all of us had to-dos for work to be done in between meetings. In this regard, I want to especially highlight the extensive work done by several members to develop and conduct the candidate town hall Zooms. The focus of the work we are presenting today is for races in Legislative District 22 and Thurston Board of County Commissioners. In parallel, we did some work with the statewide executive positions and a couple of other races, which I will come back to. Our work is guided by the OI mission and supporting core values as we developed questionnaires, questions for the Zoom town halls, and candidate assessments that you will hear about shortly. Olympia Indivisible has 21 specific core values that define who we are as an organization and serve as guideposts in key areas, one of which is the candidate endorsement process. The 21 specific values are logically grouped into the 8 areas you see here. You can see the full list on the OI website at the URL shown here. We then use those as part of our candidate assessment with respect to their alignment with those values. There are some candidates who have very little record of public service, either in an elected office or community work. For them, on those core values for which we could not find a record, we show their alignment as unknown. This does not mean they do not align, simply that we did not have enough information to make an assessment. You will see the alignment assessments during the presentation of individual candidates in a few minutes. This year, there are 3 initiatives on the November general election ballot. All 3 are the result of efforts by some very conservative Republicans to roll back important progressive policies that were implemented by the state legislature. Initiative 2117 repeals the Climate Commitment Act. 2109 repeals the capital gains tax on the wealthy. And 2124 sabotages the Washington Cares Plan. Olympia Indivisible is unequivocally opposed to all 3 and encourages all voters to register a no vote on their ballot. We asked all the candidates what their position is on these initiatives, and you will see their responses. Today, we are presenting the results of our work on 3 important races. John Kelly will be talking about the Thurston Board of County Commissioners, and Catherine Walton Elliott will be talking about the races in Legislative District 22. Incidentally, from here on, the slides will show the acronyms BOCC and LD22 rather than spell them out. There are several races on the ballot that we did not do extensive research on and are not presenting today. One category are races in which the incumbent is someone we endorsed in the past for the same position. After some research, we agreed they are performing in office in a manner that is generally consistent with our expectations from the prior endorsement. Local races in this category are Carolina Mejia and Wayne Fournier in BOCC Districts 1 and 4, respectively, and Beth Dolio in LD22 Representative Position 1. A second category are races in which there is only one pro-democracy candidate. Erasmo Ruiz for Senate in LD2, and Deanna Cook and James DeHart for Representative in LD2 and LD35, respectively. Also this year, we took a harder look at the statewide executive races and state Supreme Court. We developed short candidate profiles for all pro-democracy candidates. Several are previous endorsees, so again, received an endorsement. These include Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor, and Superintendent of Public Instruction. 5 of the positions had no previously endorsed incumbent, so the OI membership was asked to vote. These include Governor, Attorney General, Commissioner of Public Lands, Insurance Commissioner, and Supreme Court Position 2. The federal races were all previously endorsed candidates. Now I'd like to turn this over to John Kelly for his presentation of the work done for Thurston Board of County Commissioners, District 2.
Thank you, Dan. On the map, you can see District 2, the orange area, running along the eastern edge of Thurston County, along the Nisqually River. It contains the city of Yelm and parts of Lacey. Unique among Thurston County districts, it also includes the Nisqually Indian Reservation. It also has some land under the control of Joint Base Lewis McChord. Since 2016, the district's commissioner has been Gary Edwards, an outspoken conservative, former Thurston County sheriff. Edwards is retiring, and 2 candidates are running for his office, Rachel Dreon and J.W. Foster. In the primary election, only District 2 residents vote for commissioner candidates. The top 2 go on to the general election for a countywide vote. Since only 2 are running, we'll have the same candidates in the district-wide primary as in the countywide general. Rachel Dreon is a newcomer running as Democrat. J.W. Foster is a familiar figure running as an independent. Next slide, please. Rachel Dreon has a master's in public administration from Evergreen State College and worked for state and county social service agencies for the last decade or so in budget administration, Medicaid hospital fee structures, and reviewing legislation with a focus on behavioral and mental health services. She's detail-oriented. Her questionnaire response was 10 pages long. She founded her own corporation to provide housing for people in recovery from substance abuse. She's been appointed to several public boards and committees. The team that implemented the formation of a Washington State Medical Provider Network. She's a member at large of the National Association of State Mental Health Program Directors Finance and Policy Division Executive Committee. Governor Inslee recently appointed her to the State Advisory Board for Homelessness, and she belongs to the Recovery Fellowship Services Association and the Clean and Sober Softball Association. She's also on the Thurston County Treatment Sales Tax Advisory Committee. Emily Klaus, Commissioner for District 5, right next door, also a veteran of Washington Social Service Agencies, and someone we endorsed last year, said, hey, you should run for commissioner. So next slide, please. Dreon is strongly in favor of transparency and fiscal responsibility. There's never enough money to do what you want in the public sector, so you have to be strictly accountable. This is where her background in budget administration and mental behavioral health support shows to advantage. On housing, homelessness, public health, and public safety, her approach is largely one of support in behavioral and mental health and in housing. On environment and agriculture, she takes standard progressive Democrat positions. We need to protect both. As we'd expect, she opposes all three statewide initiatives. Quoted in the Olympian, she said, rents rising, opioid overdoses, climate emergencies, no houses to live in, no central place to find help. I really believe that this demands new, fresh energy, bold leadership, and collaborative ideas. Next slide, please. As Dan said, some candidates don't have public office track records, so we score them as unknown in some areas. Dreon is one of those. Her campaign rhetoric is fine for governance, environment, economy, and education, but she hasn't been in a position to do anything public about them. I will say that her experience on the Treatment Tax Advisory Committee and in county and state agencies gives her at least a potential good score in governance. But again, there's not much public record there. She has excellent ratings in human rights and civil rights, partly for her description of herself as a progressive Democrat, more for her biography. It includes a turnaround facilitated by the Thurston County Drug Court and a subsequent career in social and health services agencies with emphasis on mental and behavioral health services. We rated her as excellent in healthcare and community based on her years of experience in healthcare administration and the work of her recovery housing company. Next slide, please. Dreon doesn't have J.W. Foster's name recognition, but she's raised respectable funds, almost 13,000 as of yesterday, and garnered some valuable endorsements. Olympia City Council member Lisa Parshley, LD22 Representative Beth Dolio, Thurston County Commissioner Emily Klaus, Maria Siguenza, Tila Hogel, and more recently, not on the slide, LD22 State Senator Sam Hunt, the Win with Women Political Action Committee, and United Food and Commercial Workers Local 3000. So Dreon's a newcomer, but so was Emily Klaus last year. Next slide, please. Here's the other candidate, J.W. Foster. In some ways, he's the opposite of Dreon. He's been in local elected office for more than 10 years. Everybody knows him. He started as a Marine Corps medic, followed that into EMT and paramedic work, coming up through the ranks to become an instructor. He's served as head of the Medical and Paramedic program and as a board member and chair of the Nisqually Land Trust. He was elected to the Yelm City Council in 2011, re-elected in 2015, then appointed mayor in 2016. He was elected mayor in 2017 and served until 2021. Since then, he has served on the Risk Management Services Agency, Board of Directors, and as chair of the Thurston Regional Planning Council. Next slide, please. Foster's positions show a kind of bipartisan pragmatism. He stresses fiscal responsibility and accountability, economic vitality, affordable housing, public safety, environmental responsibility, compassionate care for the vulnerable, property rights, and relationships. That last one, relationships, is very J.W. Foster, where Dreon's responses to our questionnaire showed a focus on observation, analysis, and policy development. Foster's stressed conversations and collaboration. On the state initiatives, he's a strong no on 2109, repealing the capital gains tax, strong no on 2117, repealing the Climate Commitment Act, but a yes on 2124, killing the Washington long-term care plan. He supports long-term care in principle, but he doesn't think the plan is a good enough deal. Next slide, please. Foster's alignment with OI core value areas was assessed as good in most areas, excellent in governance, environment, and healthcare. We rated him good in human rights for his record in office and his campaign statements. As mayor of Yelm, he expanded public access to government and transparency. On the third value in this area, affordable housing and food security, nothing in his history or campaign literature indicates agreement. He says housing is important, but doesn't assert a right to it. On food security, he says nothing. We rated him excellent in governance for his experience on local boards and city government and for his collaborative approach. He held the first town hall meetings Yelm had seen in years. He convened listening groups of business, military, and tribal leadership and community groups to bring their opinions to City Hall. He created Yelm's first access to social media and streamed city council meetings and study sessions. We rated him excellent in environment for his longstanding commitment from age 15, his work with the Nisqually Land Trust, which under his leadership tripled its land holdings, staff, volunteers, and budget, and received national accreditation. He and his family still plant trees and pull weeds for the trust. On his own property in Yelm, he promotes the growth of native plants. We rated him excellent in healthcare for his career in emergency medical services. And for these campaign statements, support for law enforcement teams includes interventional mental health programs and supportive courts with alternatives to incarceration. So not just more cops. The human condition is fragile. We have a moral imperative to help each other through challenges and adversity. We rated him good in economy. Support for small businesses is a constant in Foster's record in office, as is union membership and endorsement. His alignment with other values in that area is less clear. We rated him good in civil rights. He has demonstrated his commitment to the first sentence in this area. All people deserve equal rights protections with freedom from discrimination, but has not expressed anything equivalent to systemic structures and individual acts of denying civil rights of people must be challenged. Systemic structures are not a J.W. Foster thing. We rated him good in education. He's an instructor, longtime school volunteer, and a supporter of the Yelm School Levy. We would rate him as excellent, but for two things: the absence of support for education in his campaign literature, and the absence of statements on censorship in school libraries and curricula. We rated him good in community. Compassionate care for the vulnerable is highlighted on his website and consistent with his record as an EMT. We would rate him as excellent in this area, if not for his silence on gun control. Next slide, please. Foster is well-known and popular. He has raised about $10,500 in campaign funds as of yesterday. His endorsers are numerous and more middle of the road than Drion's. Here are just a few of them: the Nisqually Tribal Council, Congressmember Marilyn Strickland, State Representatives J.T. Wilcox and Andrew Barkas, both Republicans, Commissioner Carolina Mejia, incumbent Conservative Commissioner Gary Edwards, the mayors of Lacey, Olympia, Rainier, Tumwater, and Yelm, the entire Yelm City Council, the professional firefighters IAFF locals in Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, and Yelm. So that's it for District 2. It's an interesting race. Next, we have Catherine Walton Elliott talking about Legislative District 22 candidates.
Thank you, John. Good morning, OI members. I'll be sharing information about Legislative District 22 candidates. This map shows LD22, which sits next to LD35 and LD2 in Thurston County. LD35 and LD2 both extend into other counties, while LD22 sits entirely within Thurston County. We'll start by discussing two candidates running for the LD22 House of Representatives Position 2 seat. Next slide, please. First off is Lisa Parsley. Lisa Parsley is an Olympia City Council member, local veterinarian, and longtime small business owner. Lisa holds a PhD in biochemistry, is a doctor of veterinary medicine, and a board-certified oncologist for animals. She was a longtime co-owner of Olympia Veterinary Specialists. As a member of the Olympia City Council since 2017, Lisa has served on multiple committees, commissions, and boards, including the Finance Committee, Thurston County Climate Mitigation Steering Committee, and the Lot Board of Directors. She is also a member of the Climate Integrity Leaders Network. Next slide, please. Lisa is running on a platform that prioritizes, quote, building healthy communities rooted in shared values of equity and opportunity and protecting the health and well-being of all, close quote. In her OI town hall, she emphasized workforce development and safety, a sustainable state budget, and community efforts to address disparities. As a city council member, Lisa is active in efforts to address climate change and social justice issues. She authored and pushed forward a declaration of climate emergency for Olympia, Tumwater, and Thurston County. She also serves on the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative Committee, co-sponsored the Olympia Social Justice and Equity Commission, voted to renew Olympia's sanctuary city status, and helped to develop the local response to homelessness, the One Community Plan. As expected, Lisa opposes all three ballot initiatives. Next slide, please. Lisa Parsley has demonstrated excellent alignment with OI core values in almost all areas. She has worked to support local human and civil rights, as well as a robust community, by collaborating with Olympia's council members and regional organizations on a wide range of programs and policies, such as the Social Justice and Equity Commission, the LOTS provision of sanitation trailers to tiny home villages, banning chemical weapons use on demonstrators in Olympia, and implementing the Olympia Home Fund. In the area of environment, Lisa has engaged in a lot of positive activity. In addition to the efforts mentioned on the previous slide, Lisa served for 3 years as the Lot Board president, and during that time, worked to further the Alliance's efforts to build a circular water economy that produces reclaimed water, biosolids for wheat fields, and biofuel electricity. However, she also voted with the majority of the Olympia City Council in 2021 to approve the West Bay Yards development. While this development includes shoreline restoration, it will be a very large development near to the water, and multiple local environmental groups strongly and vocally oppose it. Given her vote, Lisa has received a good rating for the area of environment. In the area of governance, Lisa has generally acted in alignment with the OI core values. In most cases, she has been a responsive city council member. She also supported ranked choice voting in multiple contexts and has linked to the PDC and voter registration pages on her campaign website. However, when she voted in favor of the West Bay Yards development along with 5 other city council members, it was in the face of significant opposition from members of the public. At the time, Council Member Gilman noted that he thought a more transparent public process was needed. We have rated her here as excellent in governance, but a good rating was considered given the response to members of the public during that process. Her work on healthcare includes co-sponsoring an extension of Olympia's sanctuary city status to include reproductive rights. Following this action by Olympia City Council, Governor Inslee announced several state-level sanctuary policy proposals related to protecting abortion and gender-affirming care rights. Lisa has also offered testimony to legislative committees on the need for better safety and staffing protocols in hospitals. As a result, she receives an excellent in healthcare. Lisa's experience as a small business owner and as a city council member supported the formulation of the Olympia Strong Plan, and was involved in setting up the Journey to Jobs program, giving her an excellent rating in economy. The one area where we didn't have sufficient information to make an assessment was education. Lisa has stated that she supports fully funding our public schools as well as implementing K-12 DEI reviews, but we didn't have enough actions on record to give her a rating, and so she is listed as unknown. Next slide, please. Lisa Parsley is serving her second term on the Olympia City Council and also serves on a wide range of committees and boards. As a result, she has multiple community connections and good name recognition. Her fundraising to date is stronger than her opponents. She also has strong endorsements from unions, local leaders, and elected members of the state government, including Denny Heck, Sam Hunt, and Jessica Bateman. For a candidate who has not previously held a state-level office, her campaign has a very good level of viability. Next slide, please. Now we'll move on to her opponent, candidate Sid Locke. Sidney Sid Locke grew up in North Seattle and has lived in the Olympia area since the 1990s. He holds an MPA from the Evergreen State College and has worked in the Washington State Legislature for over 30 years, most recently as a senior legislative aide to Steve Bergquist. A member of the Democratic Socialists of America, he has been active in a number of social justice movements. Sid is running on a platform that prioritizes a ceasefire in Gaza, the climate emergency, healthcare as a right, social justice, revitalizing the labor movement, and addressing income inequality. In his questionnaire response, Sid specifically mentioned his plan to introduce a joint memorial asking the president and Congress to stop funding the slaughter in Gaza and to work for a peaceful solution that brings justice for Palestine. He spoke about this in his OI town hall as well. As expected, he has stated that he opposes the 3 ballot initiatives. Next slide, please. Sid Locke has not previously held an elected office, so he has yet to demonstrate his commitment to many OI core values via public votes, actions, or policies. Also, during his OI town hall, it was evident that Sid's campaign could benefit from additional research into several key issues. For these reasons, we listed his alignment in governance, environment, healthcare, economy, and education as unknown. As a member of the public, Sid has demonstrated support for human rights, civil rights, and community through organizing with Olympia for All on rent control, providing court support for two Black men shot by Olympia police, marching with Black Lives Matter, and participating in activities organized by SURGE, or Showing Up for Racial Justice. I will add that the aspirations Sid has shared are in excellent alignment with OI core values. If elected, he plans to support goals such as publicly owned clean energy, fully funded public transportation, ranked choice voting, and universal health care, including reproductive and gender-affirming health care. He also expresses enthusiastic support for strong unions, higher taxes for the wealthy, establishing a state bank, higher pay for educational support staff, improvements to special education, and addressing the root causes of gun violence. Next slide, please. Sid Locke does not report previously holding elected office and has limited name recognition. To date, his campaign fundraising is modest. Sid does have strong endorsements from 2 organizations and multiple local community activists and leaders, such as Talana Reed and Leslie Cushman. He also has endorsements from Senators Yasmin Trudeau and Bob Hasegawa, as well as Representative Steve Bergquist. While his campaign viability isn't strong, it's early days, so that could improve in the coming weeks. Next slide, please. The other LD22 race we'll cover this morning is the Senate seat. Our first candidate is Jessica Bateman. Jessica Bateman is a lifelong resident of the Pacific Northwest, a healthcare policy analyst, and a Washington State representative serving her second term for Legislative District 22. She holds an associate's degree from Green River Community College and both an environmental science-focused bachelor's and an MPA from the Evergreen State College. She also served as legislative assistant to Representative Chris Reichel. Prior to her election to the state legislature in 2021, she served on the Olympia City Council for 5 years, 2 of those as deputy mayor. She has also served as a GRUB board member on the Olympia Planning Commission, as impact director for Thurston County United Way, and as a strategic advisor for community health centers in our state. Last year, she worked with Representative Barkas, a Republican, to write and pass House Bill 1110, which supports the growth of middle housing in the state. As expected, Jessica has stated that she opposes the 3 ballot initiatives. Next slide, please. Jessica is running on a platform that prioritizes safeguarding access to abortion, an equitable tax system, climate change in the environment, housing, and preventing gun violence. She also highlights affordable health care and support of seniors as important issues. In her OI town hall, she emphasized affordable and middle housing, zoning reform, reproductive rights, behavioral health, and a government that is, quote, of the people, by the people, and works for us, end quote. She also highlighted the large amount of work still ahead of us. Housing, in particular, has been and continues to be a key focus for Jessica. In addition to her work on HB 1110, she has worked to increase access to tiny homes and rent stability. She also led the Home Fund campaign while serving on the Olympia City Council. Finally, Jessica is a member of the Washington Federation of State Employees. Next slide, please. Unsurprisingly, Jessica Bateman has demonstrated excellent alignment with OI core values across the board. She has worked to support local human and civil rights, as well as a robust community through her substantial work at both the city and state levels on improving access to housing, as well as her role as a city council member in designating Olympia as a sanctuary city. She also co-sponsored HB 1143, which requires a 10-day waiting period and completion of a background check for purchasing any firearm. In the area of environment, Jessica co-sponsored and voted yes on the Climate Commitment Act in 2022. She also voted in favor of a range of other bills focused on clean energy growth and access. By being a responsive elected official and linking to voter registration on her campaign website, she received a strong rating in governance. In the area of healthcare, Jessica sponsored legislation eliminating cost sharing for abortion and authorizing the Department of Corrections to buy and distribute mifepristone, sponsored HB 1724 to increase the behavioral health workforce, and co-sponsored HB 1469 to improve access to reproductive health care services and gender-affirming treatment. Jessica has stated support for improvements in education, including increased funding and staffing in her schools. She has also voted in favor of an inclusive learning standards bill and the Healthy Youth Act, which requires public schools to provide comprehensive sexual health education to all students. Jessica voted in favor of funding the Washington Working Families Tax Credit and improvements to certain workers' rights. She has also stated her support for expanding programs that support the growth of small businesses, as well as investments in broadband expansion, transportation, and commercial space development. As a result, she received an excellent rating in economy. Next slide, please. Jessica Bateman is serving her second term in the Washington State House of Representatives, following 5 years on the Olympia City Council. As a result, she has excellent name recognition and strong experience in running successful campaigns. She has raised more than 5 times as much as any of her opponents. Jessica has strong endorsements from unions, political action groups, local leaders, and elected officials, including Bob Ferguson, Marilyn Strickland, Denny Heck, and Sam Hunt. Given all of these factors, Jessica's campaign viability is very high. Next slide, please. Our second candidate for the Senate is Tila Hogle. Tila Hogle grew up in Arlington, Washington, and has lived in Olympia for 36 years. She holds a BA from the Evergreen State College with a concentration in music and is now the owner of Tila Rose Music Studio. Tila has taught hundreds of local music students and serves as the president of Pizza Clatch, a local nonprofit fostering resilience in LGBTQ+ youth. Tila has also been active with Thurston County Democratic organizations, including holding leadership positions. She has not reported previously holding an elected office. Next slide, please. Tila is running on a platform that prioritizes education, accountability, housing first with wraparound mental health and rehabilitative services, and comprehensive tax and economic reform to address income disparity and ensure a livable wage. In her OI questionnaire answers, she highlighted her 2025 legislative priorities as housing, education, and healthcare. In addition to supporting housing first, she states that everybody has the right to control their personal healthcare needs and that Washington State needs to establish a designated funding stream that fully funds education. Tila has stated that she opposes the 3 ballot initiatives. Next slide, please. Tila Hochul has not previously held an elected office, so she has yet to demonstrate her commitment to many OI core values via public votes, actions, or policies. Additionally, in her questionnaire responses, it was evident that Tila's campaign could benefit from additional research and/or messaging about several key issues. For these reasons, we listed her alignment in governance, environment, healthcare, economy, and education as unknown, though we could possibly give her a higher rating for education given her teaching experience. Tila does demonstrate her human rights, civil rights, and community values through her service as president of Pizza Clatch and her support of LGBTQ+ youth. Alongside her stated aspirations, this earned her excellent ratings in those 3 areas. If elected, she plans to support goals such as incentivizing and investing in clean energy programs, requiring a 4-year college equivalent training course for law enforcement officers, and expanding public transportation. In her questionnaire responses, she wrote about subsidizing low-income transportation costs through environmental impact fees and a toll on oil tanker traffic through specific Washington waterways, as well as the need to ensure that associate degree mental health providers have the authority to write the necessary letters required for gender-affirming healthcare. Tila is in favor of an income tax for the state's highest earners, a minimum wage tied to the cost of living, supportive services for asylum seekers that match those received by citizens, and a fully funded education system. Next slide, please. As mentioned, Tila Hochul does not report previously running for or holding elected office and has limited name recognition. To date, her campaign fundraising is modest, and she has not shared any endorsements on her campaign website. As a result, her campaign viability isn't very strong. It could improve somewhat in the coming weeks if fundraising and endorsements pick up. Next slide, please. Our final candidate is Bob Isle. Charles Bob Isle is a native son of Thurston County, an elder of the Nisqually Indian tribe, and has been a Port of Olympia commissioner since 2021. Bob holds a BSc in Business Management from Western Governors and an MBA from WSU. A retired member of the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Union, Bob has over 35 years of construction industry experience. As the current CEO of Medicine Creek Enterprise Corporation, he oversees the operations of the Red Wind Casino, Nisqually Markets, Medicine Creek Cafe, Nisqually Post and Print, Nisqually Construction Services, and Nisqually Communications. If elected to the Senate, Bob has stated that he would step back as CEO and likely move into a consulting role for the corporation. He has also shared that he does intend to complete his term as Port Commissioner. Next slide, please. Bob is running on a platform that prioritizes building enough housing for all, expanding behavioral health services, investing in secure and reliable transportation infrastructure, and environmental restoration and salmon recovery. In his OI town hall, he emphasized addressing behavioral health, using positive features of our state to address challenges, and learning from those who came before us. He also highlighted bringing various stakeholders, including businesses, together for cooperative problem solving, whether the challenge at hand is transportation infrastructure, addressing climate change, or increasing the availability of housing. He notes that the Nisqually Indian tribe has addressed or is addressing many key issues, such as housing, healthcare, information technology, green energy production, behavioral health, and South Sound water cleanup. If elected, he plans to bring the knowledge learned from those efforts to the role of senator. Bob is a little different than our other candidates in terms of the initiatives. He opposes 2109 like our other candidates. If that were passed, that would repeal the capital gains tax initiative. However, he supports I-2124, which would allow individuals to opt out of the long-term care services insurance program. He is on the fence regarding Initiative 2117, which would prohibit carbon tax credit trading and repeal the carbon cap and invest program. He's stated that he believes the voters should decide this one. Next slide, please. Bob Isle received a mixed evaluation for alignment with the OI core values. As a self-described moderate Democrat, he states that he is, quote, very much in support of environmental and social issues, but is more fiscally conservative, end quote, and believes that environmental, social, and business development activities all have to work together. During his OI town hall, it was also evident that Bob's campaign could benefit from additional research into several key issues. In the areas of human rights, healthcare, civil rights, and education, Bob's stated aspirations align with OI's core values. However, there was not enough information about his actions to make a determination. He has stated support for goals such as strengthening behavioral health services, addressing the affordable housing crisis, providing essential services to asylum seekers, holding law enforcement officers who violate community trust accountable, increasing school funding, expansion of public transit, and providing wraparound services for our unhoused neighbors. In the areas of economy and community, Bob scored highly. As Port Commissioner, Bob implemented a requirement for contractors with projects over $1 million to have a state-recognized apprenticeship program. He also serves with the Tribal Convenience Store Association, a nonprofit trade organization developed to assist tribes in helping each other succeed in the retail industry. Red Wind Casino, a business under his leadership, and the Nisqually Indian tribe jointly donated over $1 million in community grants in both 2022 and 2023, including one that benefited the Rainier Senior Center. In environment, Bob received a rating of good. On one hand, businesses under his oversight received Thurston County Green Business Awards this year. Also, as Port Commissioner, he participated in the approval of funds to remove pollutants from the bottom and shore of South Puget Sound in 2024, and voted against a new airport in Thurston County in 2022. On the other hand, he voted in favor of the lease of Port Prairie land to Swire Coca-Cola for 75 years. Similarly, Bob received a good rating in governance because he has acted to improve fair representation for South County residents. However, many OI members felt that he did not demonstrate a willingness during the Swire decision process to create sufficient opportunities for public input. Next slide, please. While Bob has countywide name recognition and has successfully run a campaign for elected office, his fundraising is modest to date, and he has not shared any endorsements on his campaign website. He is also running against a strong opponent who currently holds a seat in the Washington State House of Representatives. However, it is early days, so his viability as a candidate could improve in the coming weeks. That concludes the overview of the LD22 candidates we're covering today. Thank you for listening. Back over to you, Dan.
Thank you, John and Catherine. So what's next? Voting for OI members only starts this afternoon and runs through June 27th. You will receive an email from OPA Vote with instructions and a link to the ballot, as well as to the OI elections website, where you can do a deeper dive into the candidates by reading their questionnaire responses, watching the town hall video, and following links to their websites. Results of the voting will be announced June 29th. Once today's endorsement vote is completed, we need to hit the ground running with teams to support our endorsed county and LD22 candidates. please seriously consider signing up with OI's Elections State Action Team to help do this work. We've dropped the link for this into the chat. If you are more concerned about federal races, please sign up with OI's Elections Presidential Action Team or our Elections Congressional House Action Team. In 2024, we need to mobilize for democracy, so please pitch in. With that, the endorsement team thanks you for your presence and attention this morning. We now have a few minutes we can answer questions if there are any.
Hello, Dan, do you want to begin with the questions that were put into the chat?
Yes, let's.
Okay, this is Lisa Ornstein. Thank you so much for all being here. And I would just say if there are additional questions and if there is time, we'd be happy to take them. Just drop them into the chat. So the first question I have is, why did you not mention JW's support of reproductive rights that was a direct response to a question during the town hall?
Catherine, would you like to answer that?
That's actually mine, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
JW's.
Yeah, John. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
That is, that's my shortcoming. I did not take good notes during that town hall, and I'm glad to you for pointing that out.
I'm going to move on to the next question, but whoever, I just noted them down, folks. So if the person who asked the question has a follow-up question, again, please drop it into the chat. The next question is, what is Rachel Drion's position on reproductive rights?
That I do not know if it's consistent with the rest of her positions. It is in favor. I don't think she's, to my knowledge, she has not made that part of her campaign literature. That may just be a given for a progressive Democrat. I can look it up and see if I can find anything.
Thank you, John. If you do find something in the remaining minutes and drop it, could you drop it into the chat, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. The next question, I'm not sure that I've stated it as well as I might, but I'm giving this my best shot here. The question is, why did Sid Locke receive so many unknowns given his many years at the legislature working with Democratic legislators, his membership and active participation in the DSA, which covers many, if not all, of the categories, and his strong support of unions?
Those are excellent questions. And we will have to do some more research into that. We mostly worked off of his questionnaire and his town hall, and I don't believe, please someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the DSA came up during that. We were mostly basing it on actions. And so his stated support of unions, the team decided was not sufficient for giving a rating.
I add a little piece here. I'm the one who asked this question.
Thank you, Janine.
So the framework I was hoping for OI to address is the matrix looks like it really relies heavily on previous leadership in political realms. And so I'm wondering, how do people show themselves well in the OI matrix if they're just previous, office holders? How do new people break into, being able to get a lot of positives through the OI system if they haven't held office before?
And that's an excellent question. And I will pull back the curtain slightly and say that is a question we discussed at length in the endorsement team. And so it will be a continued discussion, I think, going into next year. So thank you for bringing that up, Janine.
And I'll just add that
Thank you, Dan.
as a result of that, or as a as an outcome of our extensive discussions. We just finally came down on the side of, if we don't know with certainty based on a objective record of public policy or voting, that we would rather err on the side of not saying anything rather than provide any misleading assessment. Thank you for the question, though.
I'll just take this opportunity to put in a plug for joining the endorsement team for next year. I can tell you that the team worked diligently, but they are let's see, how can I say it? The more the people we have on board, the more voices and expertise and knowledge we have, the better job we're able to do. So please do consider joining, lean in, do more. Thank you. Next question is, how can the endorsement matrix, oh, I'm sorry, I think this was addressed. It was, how could the endorsement matrix be changed to allow more positivity about people who are new to the political system? So I believe that question was raised by Janine. I do see a few more questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead here. Let's see. Okay, the question is, could you confirm that you went with actual experience as opposed to simply verbal statements of support on these ratings, I'm assuming?
Well, once again, I think we addressed that in the previous answer, and we did try to lean heavily against simply membership in an organization or a public statement, and try to emphasize objective actions, either in a voting position or as a public policy position.
Okay, then there is a question again about JW's support of reproductive rights. We are waiting for John Kelly to see if he is able to find that response. John, do you have any information for us?
Well, in his town hall, JW did express support for reproductive rights. I haven't been able to find anything from Rachel Dreon, but I would bet my next 7 meals that she's in favor.
Okay, if anyone in the room does have a way of confirming Rachel Dreon's position on reproductive freedom and justice, please pipe up or put it into the chat. This is where our membership hive mind can help us do the best job possible. Next question. Why is service as an elected precinct committee officer not counted as previous service in elected office? And I'll step in, I'll venture as a member of the team to say that if we did not include service as an elected precinct committee officer, it was only because the candidate in question made no mention of it in their questionnaire, in their campaign literature, on their website, and in their town hall. So, and if it was an oversight on our part, I'm sure that I speak for all of us in saying we would apologize. But no, we don't include this as a legitimate experience as previous service in an elective office. Next question. A member would like to say that the Reproductive Rights Group is launching a voter education effort this weekend and is linking messages to Olympia Indivisible's candidate endorsements. If you would like more information about that, please look at the...
Please attend our
Please
attend our Saturday stand-up. Hopefully you all got an email message. And that I just wanted to note the vote reproductive rights and who you elect decides our lives. the reproductive rights issue is being fought at the elected official level. Elected officials from the President of the United States on down, and I know you all know this, but I don't always know that everybody who hears of the issue and stands up for reproductive rights understands that who they elect are going to be the ones who decide our lives, and we will not have, may not have direct input into an initiative or legislation or etc. So who we elect to defend what we have and protect what we have here in Washington State, as well as putting a stop to a federal level that could supersede our state rights. So that's what I just wanted to say, that we're hooking it back to who these endorsements are, as a suggestion for people, as we talk to them, make sure that they're registered to vote. And if they're looking for candidates, look up our list of endorsements. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to, I'm wondering if Jim's knowledge, next question is, can Jim's knowledge of Sid's fundraising please be acknowledged here verbally, in case others are not reading the chat? Jim, are you able to do that for us?
Sure. Sid has raised about $20,000. And I wouldn't consider that an insignificant amount of money. It's possible that the committee didn't look at both of the endorsements committee didn't look at both of the political committees that he formed for his election. One is about 15,000 and change, and the other is 5,000. And it adds up to what I think is a pretty respectable amount of money for an NLD race in the 22nd.
Thank you very much, Jim. I will also take the opportunity, since the question was raised about precinct officer or precinct captain service, that Rachel Drion and Tila Hogel are both currently elected precinct officers in Lacey 54 and Olympia 04 respectively. And that is all the questions that I see in the chat.
All right, very good. Well, we appreciate those questions. We appreciate your presence. And again, if you'd like to view any of this after the fact, to go over any of it, it will be posted on the OI Elections 2024 website here in the next few days. So thank you very much. Enjoy your Saturday.